the Go Berserk with Email podcast with Navy nuclear engineer turned email software developer, Troy Broussard. So calm.
I'm pissed off, but I'm telling this because I am teaching you how to think differently and how to test differently.
So patient.
And Ben, that's put $500,000 into this company too, is being told that nobody can find the goddamn bug.
So charitable.
I'm going to start paying bounties every time somebody finds a bug. We're going to deduct $10 for that week.
So trusting.
Do not assume that anything works. Assume that nothing works.
And so sweet, it makes sugar taste just like salt.
I want to play into the sexiness of marketing automation, but I also want to slap the complexity of it.
The Go Berserk with Email podcast begins now.
All right, Troy, we are back once again, and I think you promised to piss some people off today. So how are we going to accomplish this mission?
Actually, I don't think I promised that at all. I think this is some knowledge bombs that'll help you end a lot of, eradicate some self-imposed entrepreneurial slavery and, get you out of some of those bad habits. So I don't know, maybe somebody will argue and get upset, but, that's all right. We're going to talk about what is absolutely destructive to your business, what will put your business in an early grave. And we're going to talk about 3 of them in this episode, and we'll leave 3 more for the next episode because I want to go deep on them a little bit and we're not going to have enough time. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is being dead right. Being dead right. This is a lesson that I learned from my father, and when he told me the analogy, he said that, sometimes you can be right and clinging on to being right ends up getting you dead in the meantime. And what he talked about was, imagine a crosswalk. Legally, the moment you put your foot into the crosswalk, the traffic is supposed to stop. And legally, you would be right. You would be in the right because a vehicle is supposed to yield to the pedestrian. And the moment you put your foot in that crosswalk, that traffic should come to a screeching halt, and the waters should part and you should be able to cross the street. But just because you're legally in the right doesn't mean you're not going to end up dead if you just randomly step your foot out in oncoming traffic in the crosswalk or not, right? If you're not taking some preventative caution and looking both ways and making sure it's a good time, then you can be right, but you're still going to be dead. And I think that this is something in business that too many people are just determined to be dead right. They are so, and I don't even know why, because they don't have the results, but they're so confident in what they're doing that they're delusional. They're delusional. A couple of instances come to mind. I had one client that hired me for coaching, and they sent me their package of, their mastermind, what they were sending out to people when they joined. And I was blown away. Like, it was the best design thing that I had ever seen. They had the box that it was shipped in was custom printed and custom designed. Everything on the inside was all press fit into all these little organizations in the box, and everything fit with perfectly and all of this stuff. And they had gone through excruciating pain and detail to create this incredible welcome package, essentially, of the training that they were selling. The problem is they hadn't sold the damn thing yet. So how the hell could you go to that level of perfectionism when you haven't proven you've got an offer that can even sell yet? They were so determined that they were right that they wasted tens of thousands of dollars and God only knows how many hundreds of thousands in wasted time and opportunity costs to make everything perfect on something they'd never proven they could even sell. They, in their own mind, were right. This is what I need to teach. And this is a perfect example of being dead right. There is a place for tenacity, but you have to prove that you can get the votes that count. And in case you're wondering, the only votes that count are, from Mr. MasterCard, Mr. Visa, Mr. Amex, and occasionally that wackadoodle Mr. Discover. All right. Those are the only votes that really count into what you've got. If you can't get somebody to whip out their credit card and make a sale, then get over your own friggin' ego and let go of trying to be right and just go out there and learn. A good friend of mine and salesperson says, I'd rather be, wealthy than right. And that's his philosophy. And I totally concur with that. Be wealthy, don't be right. Don't be so obsessed with being right that you put tunnel vision, blinders on that just keep you going down a path that is delusional. And spending tens of thousands on product design for a product you haven't been able to sell yet is absolutely a perfect example of being dead right. Okay. Had another group in a mastermind that came to me, and they hired me for a private weekend and came in for the weekend and flew in to work with me. And I was about 50-50 in the first hour of the day. And I flat out told them, I said, well, I'm going to tell you right now is absolutely true. And it'll absolutely make you a lot of money. It's also going to piss you off. And there's about a 50% probability you just walk out. And they're like big bug eyes looking at me. I said, can you handle it? Because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I can sit here and massage the truth for you all day and make you feel like, I was gentle and nice, or I can just get it out, amputate the leg and move on. And they're like, no, get it out. I said, because they were building this mastermind to sell for a year-long mastermind program. And they had spent months building like the first 5 or 6 months of content. And they wanted to have all the content done before they launched the mastermind.
Oh, really?
And I killed everything they did. Everything, 100%. And within 4 weeks, we did over 400,000 in revenue and closed we had sales before they even left from the weekend, and they were already closed out the mastermind and launched a second mastermind. Within 2 or 3 months, they had done 800,000 in revenue off of filling up 2 different masterminds by being willing to be wrong. And I have to give them that credit because I did not sugarcoat it, and they had the opportunity to be dead right. Or they had the opportunity to let their ego set aside, listen to somebody that had done it before, and put it in action. And they did that. And they did, like I said, 800,000 in revenue in just a few months. So unfortunately, the first example, they stuck on being dead right. And they had their pretty packaged little box of stuff that never sold anywhere. And they canceled as a client because they were so determined to be right that somebody that made a few million doing this stuff obviously didn't know what they were talking about because they knew better since they'd never sold anything. There you go.
They had nice packaging, though. They had when you described that welcome package, I was starting to get jealous about my welcome package. Yeah. But then you told me they had no sales, and I'm like, well, I'm throwing paper mache out there, but we got sales, baby.
Exactly right. The next one, in number 2, is worrying too much about what others think. This is tough. I understand in the beginning that your confidence, may still be developing in what you're selling, but you can't. There's a thin line between getting advice from everybody and then just going out on your own. And, you can get too much advice and then you don't trust your own path. So, worrying too much about what other people think is something that held me back for a long time in my career. And instead, when I just, as I like to say, lifted the kilt and showed some full frontal candor of who I am and stopped giving a flying fuck about anybody's reaction to that, if they couldn't handle me with full frontal, blatant candor, then they weren't in my wheelhouse. They weren't who I wanted to be working with. They weren't who I wanted as a client. And I spent years being too worried about making everybody happy instead of just staying within my own zone and just working with the people that got it.
Right? How long ago was that? I can't believe that. That must have been a while ago.
A couple decades ago. Long before
People pleaser, Troy. Yeah, right.
And people do this all the time, right? They define their courses based on what other people are going to expect and whatever. I just sold a program last week and I got on the very top of the call and I said, there's not going to be any slides. There's not going to be any transcriptions. I will publish a recording and nothing else. And I'm just on camera. So if you're one of those, got to have the checklist and got to have the transcription and all this other stuff, then this ain't for you. And I did it the way it works for me. And it was a powerful training. We got super good reviews from the people that bought it. But I explained to them and I taught them how to learn. I said, you need to go through this content 3 times. The first time will be this time live. The second time, go back and take notes. The third time, go back and create an action plan based on your notes and listen to. And if you're not willing to go through it 3 times, then you shouldn't have bought. Right? Like, why would you buy something if you're not going to go deep in it and learn from it? But I fully embrace this now. And it's when my businesses really took off is when I just stopped worrying about everybody else's reactions. I don't go out of my way to offend, but you know what? At the end of the day, offense is a choice. Now, I've already accidentally dropped the F-bomb in this thing. There's some people that could be offended by that. Absolutely, there is. That's their choice. Right. And when people think, well, no, that's offensive language. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. In my sphere, it's not. In my world, it's not occasionally. And in the context it's used, it's necessarily not. But everybody has their realm. But taking offense is a choice. You can choose to be offended, or you can choose to not like it, but sweep it under the rug and move on and hear the real message behind what was being said and just not really love the manner in which it was saying. It is a choice, right? And so I've always, taught that the easiest way to understand this is to take something that you feel objectionable and put it to an extreme and realize just how meaningless it is. If I called you some derogatory thing in term, Jonathan, that was a female and it was something that had nothing to do with you. And you're like, if I called you some redheaded female, whatever, as a derogatory term, you're going to look at me like, dude, I'm a guy. I have no hair. No hair. So certainly not even like, what the hell are you talking? And you would just dismiss it on the basis of just stupidity, right? But people choose to be offensive when there's a little bit of alignment with them that they then choose to say, ooh, am I really that way? And they question themselves and they start worrying about what others are going to think. And that's where they choose willingly to be offended. And so for me, I'm pretty much unoffendable. I just, I don't really care what others think. I do what's right for me, what makes sense for me. I don't go out of my way to offend, but if somebody's going to be offended by my passion and my energy and the way that I express it, then they're just not the right person for me, and I'll find others, and I'm okay with that. So that is number 2. Now, the third one, Jonathan, is probably the biggest way to drive your business into the ground. This one is so common, and it's really common for new marketers, new entrepreneurs, new businessmen and women, where especially as creatives, like coaches, they want to help people. They're very creative in their solution. They want to help. They want to, they empathize. They want to save people the time, effort, money, etc. of going through some situation. And so they focus on the person's needs. You cannot sell needs. You must sell wants. And this is something that is so hard to get. Go for it, man.
No, I'm sitting here taking notes. I've been doing this wrong all along then.
Yeah, man. I teach options trading and people really need a retirement. They really need to have some money when they retire, right? That's a huge need. You can't sell that need, right? You can't sell the need. You have to sell the want. What life do they want in retirement? What car do they want to be driving that they're not driving now? What would they like to be able to do for their children's education that they're not able to afford now? Those are the wants. But you can't sell the needs. And so many people get so obsessed with their own vision of their product, service, offering, whatever, that they can't put themselves in the perspective of their ideal client. And their ideal client, they've got to want it. They've got to want it. You can't just tell them what they need to do. You need to brush your teeth, but what you want is not to look like this toothless grin at 72, right? That's what you want. You want to not look like that. Okay, that I can sell. But I can't sell the, you need to brush your teeth and do it 14 minutes and this and that. Unfortunately, most starving but passionate entrepreneurs are trying to convince the world of what they need. I wish I could say it any more delicately than that, Jonathan, but that is the kind of lift the kilt candor you get on the Go Berserk with Email podcast.
Oh, no. Troy's not going to offend anybody today, lifting his kilt.
Not any.
You're going to scare away our listener.
That's right. Damn it. Own it. Own it. Be real. Be you. Authentic, and just own it. Don't worry what other people are thinking. Don't be so ego driven that you're unwilling to be wrong and just clasp on to that being right at all costs and end up being dead right in your business. And learn to really get into the mind of your customers, of your clients. Understand what they really want. Now, you deliver the need, you give them the needs, you fulfill those needs that they have, but you market and sell it through the wants that they have, right? And it's not a bait and switch. You're giving them both. You're meeting their want, but you're also fulfilling their need if you do this properly. Now, if you do it as bait and switch, then it is bait and switch. But you can do and accomplish both of those in a professional manner, but also coming from a place of servitude, right? If you're really trying to serve your audience, then and impact change in their lives with your product or your service that you're selling, then you have to be able to address their fundamental core needs. But you can't get them in the door if you don't sell them what they want to buy.
Ain't that the truth? Nobody's buying that. It reminds me a little bit of Ben always talking about don't tell me about your weed killer. Tell me about my weeds. Just changing the way that we look at these things. Like it's so simple that it's ignorable. But
or worse than that, talk about the people laughing at your yard in the HOA, or talk about the fines you're about ready to get in the HOA because you haven't kept up with the weeds, right?
Now you're getting into it, right?
Yeah, you start drilling into the pain, right? And you drill into the pain, and that uncovers some of those deep emotional wants.
The real wants, exactly. So, dead right. I think I need to share this episode with Cupcake. Worrying too much about what other people think, and then need versus want. So, on the next one, we'll have the next three. Is that right, Troy?
That's right. We're going to tease you and keep them coming back for more. And remember, all of this is equally applicable in your email business, in your marketing business, in your consulting business. It doesn't really matter. These are the same things. And as you get better with this, your email skills will grow as well.
Well, it's email, it's sales, it's marketing, whatever it is you want. We're here to help you. Another Go Berserk with Email show is in the can. We will be back in your earbuds next time. Thank you for tuning in.
To get a free Berserker Mail test drive with no credit card required, go to startmytestdrive.com. From there, you can play around inside the platform without pressure. Load up emails and campaigns to see how simple the interface is, and get comfy with everything before deciding to join. That's startmytestdrive.com.
This is the podcastfactory.com.